Greetings Exiles, and welcome to the Fortesque Institute for Inspired Learning. I'm Cod Raziel, and as always, joining me are Sir Reginald Amadeus Fortesque III and Frank.
Sup.
And today we're going to be going over rare monster affixes and how to best utilize them in an inspired learning build. So without any further ado, here is
Lesson 2. Monster affixes and how to take advantage of them. The pretty useless ones. First off, we have Frenzy as damage, which gives us a frenzy charge when we lose 25% of our life. This isn't really that helpful, as it only gives us a total of 4 frenzy charges per entire life pool. Next we have Elemental Resistance, which gives us 40% to all elemental resistances. This is only really useful with certain breach uniques, as our resistances should already be capped. Wealthy does nothing for us, since we don't drop loot when we die. The Allies Cannot Die aura is only really helpful if you have something to protect. The Resistance aura pretty much follows the same thinking as the Elemental Resistance bonus, as it really only helps us with certain breach uniques. Physical and Elemental Reflect don't do nearly enough damage for us to benefit from them. And Group Frenzy on Death doesn't really help us because we'll be dead. Slight boosts and quality of life boosts. First off, we have Gains Endurance, Frenzy and Power charges. This gives us whatever charge on hit. Since we need a way to generate these charges without the mod, this is really only seen as a slight quality of life improvement. Next we have the Slowing aura. This is useful from a defensive standpoint, as it slows enemies' movement speed by 25%. Armored is nice only if you're getting armor on your gear, otherwise it's mediocre or worthless. Accurate. This gives us 40% increased accuracy rating, which is slightly useful for any build that requires accuracy rating, but it can be exceptionally useful on characters like the Juggernaut or while using a unique that gives you additional bonuses based on your accuracy. Next we have the Life Regeneration aura and Life Regen mod. These give you 2% and 1.3% of life regenerated per second respectively. These are decent if you're not Vol packed or have Zealot's Oath on energy shield builds, but they're nothing to write home about. Decent boosts. Increased and substantial physical damage auras grant us 30% and 50% increased physical damage respectively, which isn't amazing but it's not terrible either. The Accuracy aura gives us 45% increased accuracy rating and 75% global critical strike chance. This is a welcome addition for any crit build. The Energy Shield aura gives us 60% of our maximum life as added maximum energy shield. This is decent if you're a life build, it's exceptional if you're a hybrid build, and it's useless if you're CI because it's based on your maximum life. Hexproof grants us curse immunity, which is always worth having. However, it will stop temporal chains from working if you're using that to extend the duration of your inspired learning. Extra damage gives us 25% increased damage and stacks based on multiple instances. Extra life gives us 25% increased maximum life, and it stacks based on multiple instances and also increases our character size. Cannot be Stunned is extremely useful if you're CI or hybrid and are having issues with stun. The Strong boosts. Fast Attacks gives us 40% increased attack speed, and it appears that multiple instances of this stack to give us insane attack speeds. Extra Fire and Cold damage. This gives us 25% physical damage added as the respective element, and multiple instances of this also stack. Leech's Life. This gives us 100% of physical attack damage leached as life. That's crazy leech for physical attack builds that are using Vol pack. Extra Projectiles. This grants us 2 additional projectiles for both spells and attacks, and it appears that multiple instances of this stack to give you an insane amount of projectiles, thus boosting our clear speed. Quick. This gives us 50% increased movement speed, and is likely going to be a massive boost to your clear speed, unless you're using a movement skill. Next, let's go on to the bad nemesis mods. These are the nemesis mods you either don't want or are useless to you. First off, we have on-death effects. These are fractured, inner treasure, and all of the volatile bloods. These do nothing for us as we cannot use on-death effects. Next, we come to the potentially annoying mods. These are mods you may even not want to kill the rare that's associated with it. First, we have Shroud Walker. This can be extremely disorienting as it teleports you randomly to nearby monsters. Next, we have Bringer of Bones. This summons a bunch of skeletons and can cause screen aids. However, it will be worth noting that if you're ranged, this can protect you quite a bit. Next, we have all of the curse mods. These can be quite irritating if you're using curse on hit. Next comes the mods that look cool, but they deal practically no damage. First off, we have Ancestral Power. This gives us Searing Bond totems, but unfortunately they don't do that much damage. Next, we have a Corrupting Blood. First off, this requires the monsters to actually hit us, and even then, it deals very little damage to them. Blessing of Elements. This causes random elemental status elements when you hit, but they can only really be useful if you're invested into fire damage, for example. Storm Herald. The lightning storms look cool, but they cause screen aids and don't appear to do much damage. Vile Touch. Unless you're scaling poison damage, this is pretty useless. It's worth noting that Soul Conduit is not on this list, as it allows us to duplicate the mods of other rare monsters. These are the mods that give Frank a raging clue. First off, we have Proximity Shield. This is an amazing defense for or against ranged builds or enemies. Can only be hurt by hits originating from inside the shield, is pretty much the gist of what this does, which means that a lot of the time a lot of things will not be hurting us. Soul Eater gives us huge amounts of attack and cast speed, as well as physical damage reduction and character size based on anything that dies around us. Unfortunately, this also has the side effect of causing Vile skills to not recharge based on the souls being consumed by Soul Eater instead. The Haste Aura. This gives us 35% attack and cast speed, but most importantly 75% increased movement speed, which is a massive boost to our clear speed. Powerful Crits. This gives us 300% increased global critical strike chance and 65% increased global critical strike multiplier. And it stacks. This is the main source of our DPS boost. As you can see in this image here, this character has 40,000 DPS without any mods, and this current DPS number was without Soul Eater. So I've seen it go as high as 1.5 million. And now for the conclusion. What kind of build do we need to benefit the most from inspired learning? First off, the build needs to be attack based so that we can take advantage of all that extra attack speed. It's also preferable that getting more attack speed not increase the mana cost too much, or that you have some sort of mana gained on hit or mana leech in effect. The perfect skill for this is of course Cyclone, since attack speed doesn't increase the cost of the skill. Next, the build should be physical, as there are a couple of mods that add elemental damage based on your physical damage, as well as Leech's life only being affected by physical attack damage. You should be able to crit, as powerful crits is our biggest source of increased damage. It would be a shame to lose that to something like Elemental Overload or Resolute Technique. It should be a projectile, so that we can gain benefits from added projectiles, although if I was going to sacrifice one of these bullet points, it would likely be this one. It should be hybrid or low life, so that you scale both life and energy shield, so that when we steal life or energy shield, we gain benefits from all of them. You should be leeching to your energy shield and potentially using life gain on hit for your life, so that we can equally leech on a hybrid build. We should be able to use most of the nodes that we use to socket the inspired learning, which we will go over in the next video. The Fortesque Institute for Inspired Learning would like to thank you for watching, and tune in next time when myself, Sir Reginald Amadeus Fortesque III, and Frank, We'll be telling you
where you can stick it.
I'm Sir Reginald Amadeus Fortesque III, and I approve this message.